mainstream, if you can call it that, mainstream conspiracy researchers talk about microchipping. Great, I'm glad they do. More the merrier. But they emphasize that microchipping is about electronic tagging, and on one level it is. But it's not its prime reason. Its prime reason is to implant within the body computer an alternative means of filtering reality through the interpretation of electrical signals and all the rest of it. And that's why the microchip is the jewel in the crown, because if they can get a microchip in people of the kind that I'm talking about, then they can start to seriously affect the way that person filters reality and to shut down their potential for awakening. This is why keeping the microchip out of the body is the prime thing that people must do. Just say no to the microchip under any circumstances, because it's not there to help you, although it will be promoted as that, and is being promoted as that. It's there to control your mental, emotional, and physical processes.
Going along that basis, what are some of the steps that we can take to help to free ourselves?
Well, they're simple, I think, because of everything comes from that. And I can only tell you what I've done. First of all, and this is the prime one, and I keep going back to it, move your point of perception. Don't perceive yourself as Charlie Smith or Ethel Jones. That's an experience. I don't care if you're black, white, Jewish, Hindu, whatever you are. It's an experience, right? It's an experience. It's not who you are. Who you are is infinite, eternal consciousness, infinite, eternal awareness within the great infinite consciousness that is all possibility. And one thing I should emphasize here is when I talk about unity and connection and the oneness of everything, I'm not talking about everyone becoming a bland clone of everyone else. Ooh, I'm oneness. Yeah, I'm oneness, and also am I, and all this of it. You don't become clone-like and same-like by accessing the infinite connection of infinite awareness, because infinite awareness is all possibility. Therefore, the celebration of individuality, an individual point of observation within infinite possibility, is a celebration of oneness. The way you become the same as everyone else, the way you become clone-like, is to become so limited in the range of all possibility that you're accessing, that you access a fraction of a fraction of possibility. And if vast numbers of people are accessing that same desperately limited range of frequencies, they're going to act and look and be the same. And that's why when you see these psychologists and people who talk about the fact that they can break human personalities down into 12 archetypes and combinations of them and things like that, you can't do that with all possibility. How can you break that down into 12 archetypes? I mean, you're having a laugh. But if you are operating on computer reality, where there are programmed personalities within that computer software, and in some people this personality is emphasized in combination with this software program, and in another this personality trait is emphasized in relation to this other software program, then you can work on the level of archetypal personalities. But that's not infinite consciousness expressing itself. That's the computer software playing out. And so when you open yourself to oneness, you open yourself to celebrate your maverick nature, your one-off nature. They broke the mold with him or her level of nature. That's a celebration of oneness, all possibility, not a degradation of it. And so if you move your point of observation from the small to the all, as I put it, then everything changes. It's very difficult until people have done it to realize the scale of change that brings about, not only in perception, but when your perception changes, the energy field that you are generating, which is the auric field and whatever you want to call it, which is a vibrational expression of your state of observation and your state of being, that changes as your state of being and perception changes. And therefore, what it's attracting to you in terms of people, places, ways of life, experiences, all of which are vibrational fields, because everything is at this reality anyway. What your field draws towards you in terms of all those things changes as a result of you changing your point of observation, because everything changes as a result of that. And this is why when people start to awaken, often, if the people around them do not awaken and go with them vibrationally, relationships break up and their life dramatically changes. Their job might go. Why? Because they're no longer making a vibrational connection with that employment, because it's no longer their reality. And so everything changes when you move your point of observation. And I can only describe it as like this. You are, in terms of scale, you are sitting in a box. You've been born into that box. There's a door on the side of the box, but no one ever goes through that because they get ridiculed or condemned for doing so. So you're sitting around in this box. When you were born into it, there were other people already in the box, and they're telling you this box is all that there is, and there is nothing else. And maybe there's some God to go through on the other side of the box, but no one knows that. And everyone's got a different name for God and a different ritual to worship their God on the hope that this, the box will open and they'll end up in the paradise that they're talking about. Someone eventually says, I don't care, I'm going through the door. And despite the condemnation and the ridicule, they go through the door. And they open the door. And they realize, hey, the box ain't all that exists. And they walk down the corridor. And they go out the door at the end. And now they're out into light. And they see in front of them a big gate, and they walk through the gate, and in front of the gate is a big hill, and they walk up the hill, and they get to the top of the hill, and they turn around and they look back, and what they see is a massive prison with barbed wire across the walls, guards going up and down the walls, and inside the walls is this building, and inside that building somewhere is the box, the little room that they've been living in since they were born. Now, from that hill, looking out across their previous reality, the world and everything they've known before completely changes in terms of their understanding of it and where they were before. And that is the scale of change, of transformation that happens when you move your point of observation from little me, that's me in the mirror, look, I'm getting old, I'm getting a bit, oh look, oh God, to I am infinite consciousness, having an experience, all powerful, all knowing, all seeing. And they talk about, in the Illuminati, the all-seeing eye. They're not all seeing at all. What has happened is these shadow entities have put us in a smaller box than they're in. That's how they've got their control. And they're terrified of our box disappearing, because then they're in the box and we're not. The very fact that they desire control over means that they are in a low state of vibrational awareness. Otherwise, aware consciousness does not want control over anybody, doesn't want power over anybody. When you want power over someone or over something, it means you are coming from a point of view of insecurity. That's why you want to control events, because you're not secure enough just to let events flow, and you'll flow with them. And this is why, if you look at the Illuminati and the way they operate, they are constantly trying to know the result of the football match before the game starts. This is why they want to work through both sides all the time in every area of our lives, so they control the outcome. They are terrified of mavericks. They're terrified of states of flux. Why? Because they're coming from a point of view of staggering, almost incomprehensible levels of insecurity. And that's why they're in a box. And the reason that they have controlled us is that they have worked to take out of circulation, through what we call history, the knowledge of who we are and the nature of reality, while they hold on to an intellectual, not a spiritual, not a heart understanding of it, but an intellectual understanding of it. And therefore that's put them in that position of power. Well, I'm afraid that monopoly is rapidly coming to an end. And as it does so, so is their domination.
I really think that there's something to radio waves that we still don't fully understand. And for me, it's kind of a basis for doing the show on the radio, is because I think that gets sent out there and it's clicking and maybe coming into contact with that collective consciousness. And even though we may not realize it, suddenly from this talk that we're just having today could inspire, or just somebody could be walking down the street or through the bushes or driving whatever, and boom, an epiphany happens. And I think it could be because of something like this, because it changes the vibrational wave of the greater consciousness of the world.
I completely agree with you. Funnily enough, I was writing about that about 15, 16, 17 years ago. It just became so obvious to me that when I was going on radio stations, that the audiences may have not been great, but anywhere that radio signal carrying those words in vibrational form, wherever that was broadcast, it didn't need a radio to decode it into left brain words for left brain listeners only to make any difference. It could be decoded directly by people who had never even heard of the show, never mind listen to it. I'm absolutely sure that that's the case. I agree with you.